Hello, I'm Luke McInnes, student ID 22006341 from seminar group MN5067. For this module, I chose my chosen leader to be Elon Musk, and my main kind of leadership theories that I was looking at throughout this project have been transformational and democratic. Secondly, I looked at how power, influence, and ethics affect modern practices and how leadership has transformed throughout the years. Elon Musk has led many great successful technological companies across the years, such as Tesla, Twitter, and SpaceX, which across the years have constantly provided great technological advancements. With regards to Elon Musk's leadership approach, I found transformational leadership theory the most fitting as throughout the years on all of the companies he has led, um, he's always tried to think outside the box and sort of go um, heights that no other leader usually aims for. Initially, for my academic analysis, I chose to look at the core issues in relation to leadership, power, influence, and ethics. So firstly, I looked at an overview of these four factors and found that for leadership, things like workload and putting on a character for employee satisfaction and sort of having to have difficult conversations with many people, such as clients and employees and stakeholders, is quite an issue for most leaders. When applying these core issues to Elon himself, we can see that Elon's work ethic is incredibly high as he tends to stay in his office on occasions in order to minimize his commute time so that he can work for as long as possible. And although there are no public conversations published about Elon having kind of problematic conversations with people, it's just something that you can guarantee he has to go through, which can also take a toll on mental health, which is a major drawback from leading companies. Secondly, when looking at power and influence with their main issues, we see things like greed and arrogance. However, if we apply these kind of attributes to Elon, we can see that there's little to no correlation because he's known to be a rather humble man. Um, another big issue that we find with power and influence is that many politicians and some other people spread bad messages and want to create kind of negative environments. Whereas Elon is known to have huge good influence, raising awareness for things like global warming, rather than uh, talking about things which can cause negative implications for others. Some of the issues we're faced with when we look at leadership ethics are things like abuse of power and shortcutting standard procedures, which many people um, are likely to have experienced throughout their life if they've been working for a few years. But when we are relating these topics to Elon, he does not follow any of these bad practices, and he's known to be a very ethical leader that works his businesses legitimately and has created an excellent work environment for those who work with or for him. For the second part of my academic analysis, I looked at the leadership theories. Firstly, transformational leadership theory, which I found a quote for from a reference source, which is saying, the transformational leadership style inspires workers to embrace change by fostering a company culture of accountability, ownership, and workplace autonomy. Um, since this theory is kind of dependent on self-motivation amongst employees, this can be a drawback as some people do not work very well, kind of creating their own work and getting on with tasks without kind of being pushed towards that. But if we apply this leadership theory to Elon, he kind of aims for very ambitious goals, and sort of anything that he can achieve will usually have a very big impact and requires a lot of resources and effort, but it has now led to Elon being the probably the most renowned transformational leader. After looking at transformational leadership theory, I then looked at democratic leadership theory, which involves sort of having conversations with all of your subordinates, allowing for you to find out a wide range of ideas to kind of collide and create a plan to move forward. And although this style has its benefits, it's much more time consuming than its counterpart, which would be autocratic style, which is sort of a business leader just making decisions on their own and just moving forward without any others' input. But if we apply this leadership theory to Elon, we can say that he, to a degree, has an autocratic style, but in the most part, he follows a democratic style since he does speak to his business partners and advisors. If he were to follow a fully autocratic style, since he is leading so many companies, it would likely lead to kind of misjudgment. When looking at power, influence, and ethics theory, I chose to look at French and Raven's 1959 model, including the five bases of power, which consist of reward, coercion, legitimate, expert, and referent. When looking at coercion, commonly looking at things like making somebody do something against their will and using kind of enforced threat of punishment to get somebody to do what you'd like them to do. With reward, it looks at things like giving a payoff for somebody to do something for you, like a bonus or simply just something like a compliment. And for legitimate, um, looking at things like um, since you've had such a great success, people are more likely to listen to you because they are aware of your kind of expertise. With expert, we're looking at things like Elon having an extended depth of knowledge, meaning people are going to listen to him as they want to learn what he knows. With referent, we're looking at things like respect, as he's attained great respect from a lot of his employees. And lastly, informational. Since Elon has kind of information on all sorts of the company, which people would like to be aware of, they're more likely to listen to him. From this analysis, I feel I've learned how to apply leadership theory to real life practices and how they play a great role in ethics and power. I feel my extended knowledge of these theories will likely help me to put them onto my own practices throughout my life and throughout my career. And the assignment was structured well in order to kind of um, make sure that your understanding of these theories is well applied to a leader. For my self-reflective piece, I used Kolb's learning cycle to deconstruct my work. Um, the first part of this cycle is about applying my what I've learned to my new practices, which I will do by researching and analyzing to see if I can really experience these new theories in my own life. After this, I've looked at reflective observation, which is about once I've applied my new learning to see how it's impacted my leadership. Penultimately, on Kolb's learning cycle, we looked at abstract conceptualization, which involves concluding and learning from experience. So for this, I'd like to deconstruct my leadership traits and how I can lead myself better throughout my day and also my leadership career. And lastly, active experimentation leads to looking at my leadership traits and what needs challenging and transforming to create a plan on how to approach that. Thank you very much for listening.